Okay, what is the first step here, please? Yes, that is a problem. I have to start there. I have to rearrange it into negative x plus 2. And then the second denominator needs to be 2 out, factored. Good. Now I am still working on this now. What is the problem with it now? Yes, and I'll put it in front already because the top is positive, and when I pull the positive over negative, it will be negative. So the denominator will be x minus 2. The only restriction is x not equal to. And now, careful, never, never, never. 2x minus 2. The negative is in front of the fraction line, has nothing to do with the denominator. It will stay and wait for us when we're ready for it. Okay, now the first fraction, the first denominator was multiplied by 2. So it needs the top, needs a 2. Now the second denominator was not multiplied by anything to get this. If you want by anything, I mean 1. Now can anyone dictate the numerator? Very good. Or x minus 10 over 2 times x minus 2. That's the simplified form. Very good. Now, 57 is a difficult situation. Let's work on 57 for a minute or two. 57 on page 473. X plus 8 divided by x squared minus 5x minus 6 plus x plus 1 divided by x squared minus 4x minus 5. Let's start. What would you do first? And then in the middle, we'll continue together. What will be the first step? The denominators only. When we add and subtract, we never factor the tops till the very end. Okay, so let's do that. And tell me when you have the factored form as well as the restrictions stated. Do you all agree with x minus 6 times x plus 1? Very good. So then you are going to give me 3 restrictions. Good. And now we're ready for the least common denominator. Do you all agree with all these 3 different factors? Because the 2 denominators, now they have 3 different factors in there. Okay, perfect. So then the top of the first fraction will be multiplied by. Do you all agree with x minus 5 as being the missing factor? Yes? X minus 6 is here, x plus 1 is here, the additional one is x minus 5. What about the second one? Do you all agree with x minus 6? So x minus 5 is here, x plus 1 is here, the only additional one is x minus 6. Agreed? Now, do not write for a moment. Just watch for one moment. It is not a mistake to write this and then multiply. I don't do it. Here's why. Because some of you will always be tempted to do this. What is wrong with this? Doing that, what I just did? They're not factors. This is not a factor up here so that I can cancel with x plus 1. X minus 6 is not a factor up here so I can cancel it with x minus 6. And x minus 5 is not a factor up here to cancel it. So that's the reason why I don't write that. However, if you prefer to write that and you know what you're doing, then you will distribute, combine like terms, and never simplify. I'm fine with it. Instead, I prefer to do this. You can choose the method you like, of course. Okay, here's what I do. X times x, x squared. X times negative 5, negative 5x. 8 times x, 8x. 8 times negative 5, negative 40. And I am not tempted to simplify anything, because there is nothing to simplify. Then plus x times x, which is x squared. X times negative 6, which is negative 6x. 1 times x plus x, and 1 times negative 6, negative 6. And I avoid the temptation of simplifying terms, not factors. Yes, I have no choice. I have to use FOIL here. But instead of writing it like this and then writing it like this, I go directly from here, here. Yes, this is this. But instead of writing it like this, I distribute, I use FOIL and write a simplified form, almost simplified. Now I know what I have to do. I have to combine like terms. So then the x squared with x squared will be 2x squared. The negative 5 plus 8 will be positive 3. Positive 3 plus 1 is positive 4. Positive 4 minus 6x is negative 2x. And negative 40 minus 6 is negative 46. Yes, I will factor out 2 minus 23. With the given restrictions, of course. And that's a simplified form. X squared minus x minus 23 cannot be further factored. Yes, this was a difficult situation because I had 3 factors in the denominator and I had to FOIL the numerators. And then I had to combine like terms and then factor out a 2. This is not a trivial problem. Do we understand how to add and subtract rational expressions? You can say, no, I need more examples. It's fine if you say that. Or you can say, let's do one more. Or you can say, no, I need more than one. But just say something so I know how to proceed. Are we okay? We understand the procedure or not sure yet? It's okay if you say you're not sure yet. Should we do one more? Okay. Should I choose similar level of difficulty or? Okay, perfect. Okay, this is another one that is difficult. 5 over x squared minus 4 plus 2. However, it's not as difficult as the previous one because the numerators don't have x. So when you distribute, you will have much less to work on. So we'll do this one and then I'll choose one more and then we'll continue. Yeah, we'll also do 58 and then move on. we need more time? Can anyone give us the factor form of the first denominator? We all agree with x plus 2, x minus 2, plus 2. The factor form of our contract from the first day of classes. Yes, and minus 3 over. Do you all agree with x plus 2, x minus 2, x minus 2 squared, and x minus 3 times x minus x plus 2? Yes? How many restrictions will you give? So you're going to give plus or minus 2. You will also give not equal to 3. Excellent. Now I need the least common denominator. How many different factors we see here? X plus 2, x minus 2, and x minus 3. However, I have to talk about powers or exponents. For which one? What will be the power of x minus 2 in the least common denominator? 2. Very good. So now, the first denominator, carefully, was multiplied by, I talked too soon, because although the top is only a number, I still have to FOIL up there something. What am I FOILing up there? X minus 2 and x minus 3. Okay. Good. Now, this denominator was multiplied by? Do you all agree with x plus 2 times x minus 3? It's okay if you say I don't see it. Do we see it? Okay, and the last one is multiplied at the top by an x minus 2. No. Oh, yeah, you're right. X minus 2 squared. I'm sorry. There is x minus 3, there is x plus 2, and it's missing x minus 2 squared. Excellent. Okay, ready? Good. Now I have to FOIL those. Put the 5 outside and wait. But FOIL it. X times x is x squared. X times negative 3, negative 3x, minus 2x, and plus 6. Bless you. Do we agree with the first numerator? 5 stays outside, and I FOIL the two binomials. X times negative 3, negative 2 times x, and negative 2 times negative 3. Plus 2, and in parentheses, x times x squared, minus 3x, plus 2x, and minus 6. Do you all agree with that? Yes? And then, right here at the top, I don't have enough room, 3, and I know how to square x minus 2 squared. I know this is a contract. The first term squared, minus 2 times the first times the second, and plus the second term squared. And now, only now I distribute. Leave the denominator alone. You can never or should never distribute anything in the denominator. So now, 5 times x squared, 5x squared. Now I know that this is negative 5x. I'm trying to cut back on writing. So minus 25x and plus 30. I multiply these two. Now plus 2x squared, but this is negative x. So minus x, I'm sorry, minus 2x I meant, and plus, not plus, but minus 12. And now the last one is negative 3x squared plus 12x and minus 12. What is the next step then? Combine. So I have 2x squared with 5, that's 7, minus 3 is positive 4x squared. So these are done. Then I have a 25x with a negative 2x, which is negative 27x. But negative 27x plus 12x is negative 15x. Am I correct? And then 30 minus 12 is minus 24, so that's positive 6 over this whole thing with the given restrictions, the restrictions we wrote. Any questions? And this is it. Now, knowing all this, we're ready to look at 7.5.
Wait till this last one. Yeah, you did. I thought we were done.
No, we have 2 more sections. I said after this, knowing this, the last 2 sections will be a breeze. That's what I said. We have this section and 1 more. 7.5, solving rational. If I said solving rational, what will be the next word? Of course. There are 2 types of rational equations. I said that if we understand 7.4, the last 2 sections will be a breeze, and this and 1 more. You will have no difficulties now. If you understood 7.4, trust me, you'll have 0 difficulties in 7.5 and 7.7. Okay, there are 2 types of rational equations. One that is a proportion, and one that is not a proportion. We're going to work on the easiest one, which is proportion first. Let's start with problem 35 on page 480. T divided by t minus 4 equals t plus 4 divided by 6. Why do I say that this is a proportion? Because it is. In a proportion looks like this. A over b equals c over d. Nothing else follows. 1 fraction on the left, 1 fraction on the right, and the equal symbol in the middle. Nothing else attached to the sides. In a proportion, and only in a proportion, I'm allowed to cross multiply. So then I will write AD equals BC. Is this a proportion? Yes. I have to state 1 restriction, because there is 1 denominator that has t in it, not 4, very good. And I can go ahead and apply cross multiplication property that works only in a proportion. So then, what will you tell me this is? 16D equals. Now this, you know how to factor it and you know how to multiply it. I want to use the special product and give me the answer. Minus? Very good. Now I have to ask myself, what type of equation is this? Initially I had a rational equation, which was a proportion, but now I have something else. What is this something else? So I know how to solve it. Quadratic. How do I solve a quadratic equation? Very good. So t squared minus 6t minus 16 equals 0. Okay, now the next question is, how do I solve a quadratic? Say it again. How do we solve a quadratic? What do we need to do? We know 4 methods, not 1. We know 4. Somehow we should be able to solve it. Of course. Always use the easiest possible way, of course. And this is t,
Minus
excellent, and t,
plus 2.
very good. So then there are two options, t equals and t equals. Are these among the restrictions? No. Yes? Yes. You can go back and check. They must work. This is how what we call and how we proceed or how we solve a proportion. Let's look at another proportion, and this time I would like you to work on it. Let's say 27, which is a over a minus 6 equals negative 2 over a minus 1. And it's on page 480. Okay, 1 minute. Don't forget restrictions. Don't forget to check against the restrictions. Are proportions difficult? No, I agree. Can anyone tell us the restrictions you have to write first? Since it's a proportion, just go ahead and cross multiply. And please tell me what you write.
A squared minus a over 2a.
Negative 2a.
Negative 2a plus 1.
Very good. Now this is no longer rational, but what? Okay, what do I do in a quadratic? I move negative 2a to the other side, it becomes positive 2a. I move 12 to the other side, it becomes negative 2a. You know what I mean. It becomes negative 12, of course. And the left-hand side is? Careful.
A plus 3, a minus 3.
A minus 3. And there are two options. A is. Are these among the restrictions? No. So they are acceptable. Now let's look at the other one, which is obviously more difficult. But not too much, because we understood 7.4. And you'll see, or 7.5. Yeah, 7.4, I'm sorry. So let me illustrate with one example or two, and then you will work on it. Any questions, please? Any questions? Okay, 37. Y divided by 2y plus 2 plus 2y minus 16 over 4y plus 4. And then equals, they say, 2y minus 3 divided by y plus 1. Okay, first I look at the problem and I say, oh, I see it's a rational equation, but it's not a proportion. So there must be something in between that I have to do before I make it into a proportion. I will make it into a proportion. So first, this is my suggestion. This is what I recommend. I will move this fraction to the other side. The equation becomes y over 2 times y plus 1 plus 2y minus 16 over 4y plus 1 minus 2y minus 3 over y plus 1 equals. If I don't write the right-hand side, I'm changing it into an expression and I will never solve for anything. So what is on the right-hand side? Absolutely. I moved the term from the right-hand side to the left-hand side like we did a few minutes ago when we solved the quadratic equation. This is not quadratic. But I apply the same procedure. Now you will tell me the restriction. What is the restriction I have to write? -1 indeed. And now you will tell me the least common denominator as we did in the previous section. So I see 2, I see y plus 1, I see 2 squared, which is 4, y plus 1 and y plus 1. So what will be the least common denominator? Yes, perfect. 4 y plus 1. Can anyone give us what I call adjustments? These are adjustments to the top. What is the adjustment for the first fraction? 2. What is the adjustment for the second fraction? 1. And what is the adjustment for the last fraction? 4. Do you all agree with these adjustments? Do you all agree with the least common denominator being 4 times y plus 1?
Yes.
Okay. Now please dictate to the top. Careful. Yes? Very good. Careful. Very good. Do you all agree with 2y plus 2y minus 16 minus 8y plus 12? Acceptable? What will be the next step? This is what we've just done in 7.4, except we did not have the equal symbol and 0. But everything we've done here is the same. I just moved one term from one side to the other, and I added 3 fractions. Nothing new, right? Okay, so now, in the next step, I have to do what? Yes, so please look what I do. I wrote the fraction line, I write the equal symbol and 0, because if I forget this, I'll never get anything. Now I copy the denominator, and now you'll tell me the numerator. Yes, please.
Why is that plus 12?
A negative in front of a fraction line gets distributed to all terms for to the top of that fraction. So negative 2y times 4 and positive 3 times 4.
Okay.
So
All right,
this negative has to be distributed to both terms. So that's why we have negative 8y and positive 12. Is this okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so please dictate the numerator. Do you all agree with minus 4y? Minus 4. Here's what I do next. This is the only minor difference from before. You allow me to write 0 over 1. You cannot write 0 over 0. 0 over 0 is not 0. Can I write 5 as 5 over 1? Can I write 2 as 2 over 1? Can I write 0 as 0 over 1? Good. Now this is a proportion. I made it into a proportion. What do I do in a proportion? And only in a proportion. Good. Let's cross multiply. Some of you will ask me, where did the denominator go? Here's where it goes. 1 times this is negative 4y minus 4 equals, how much is this? 0. The denominator did not disappear. Well, it did in a way, but I just multiplied by 0 because that's what I have. This is 0. This is this. Now, this is a linear equation. I have to separate the terms. And I have negative 4y equals 4, therefore y equals? Good. But look carefully. What do I conclude? No solutions. This is the beauty of stating restrictions. I don't have to go back and check anything. Assuming I do my work correctly, I will only check it against the restrictions. Okay, I would like you to work on problem 39 now. For r, I'll change it to x, it's just easier. 4x minus 4 divided by x squared plus 5x minus 14 plus 2 over x plus 7 equals 1 over x minus 2. We will discuss the steps, but you will perform them. What will be the very first step you will perform? Right, you move this, you change the sign in front of it, set it equal to 0, and at the same time, please factor the first denominator. Do not forget the equal symbol and 0 on the other side, because then you are changing into an expression. And you will not solve for x.